So when we talk about relevant and irrelevant information, we're talking about what is part of the paragraph and what's unnecessary information. Okay? Um, Today I'm going to show you guys how to actually find irrelevant information and why it's important for us to make sure that we know that what irrelevant information is and why it is irrelevant. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go through this one guided practice. You're going to see something similar like this that you'll be doing after me. So, of course, you're going to see this directions, read each paragraph, complete the chart for each paragraph, review the model video if you need a reminder. That is this video that you will be reviewing if you need a reminder. So, first of all, let's read the paragraph. For many years, all books were written by hand. Because it took so long to write one book, there were only a few of them. Most people could never own a book. Then, sometime between 1450 and 1460, Johannes Gutenberg got the idea of carving separate letters and moving them to make new words. Gutenberg died at the age of 68. This was the invention of movable type. From then on, the numbers of books printed grew quickly. All right, so first thing I want to be able to do is identify the topic or the subject of the paragraph. Okay, or of the text. In this case, it's just one paragraph. So I would say the topic or subject of this paragraph is basically, what is it mainly talking about? So it looks like to me it's mainly talking about books that were written by hand. So I'm going to say handwritten books is my topic or subject. Okay, I could even go as far as just saying books, right? So for this, I'm going to actually go ahead and bold that because ideally that is what the topic is going to be, is books. We are being specific on handwritten books because that's kind of what it's introducing at the beginning. But for the most part, it is just talking about books, okay? So now I want to talk about the author's message. So what is the author saying about books or about handwritten books? So as I think about this, right, we know that at the beginning it talks about how people barely owned books because it took so long to write one. And then once the invention of movable type got invented, then we had books that were being printed more quickly so that more people could own them, right? So if I think about it carefully, I would say the author's message has to do with developing new product, I guess, to be able to create better books or easily printed books. This is literally just how I'm thinking this through, guys, so just bear with me. The author's message, again, is what is the author trying to say about books or about handwritten books? I would say maybe handwritten books were a commodity until the invention of movable type, then they were easier to access. All right. So it's probably not the best written author's message, but this activity is not about knowing whether or not we can write an author's message better. I might go back later and actually rewrite that so that it is more concise and kind of makes more sense. But for the most part, I kind of have an idea of what the author is trying to say about books or about handwritten books. Okay, so now I've got an idea of what the author's message is. We know what the topic or subject is. So we've reviewed what irrelevant information is, which is basically not really important information. It's probably, there's always going to be information that is given that is interesting to the paragraph or the text or the story. But when we're talking about relevant and irrelevant information, we're talking about what information needs to be a part of the text versus the information that doesn't really need to be in there. It's always good to know, but not necessarily important, because it doesn't really have to do with what the author is talking about. Okay, so your next task here is to highlight the irrelevant information. And so when I was reading through the text, right, again, we're talking about handwritten books, movable type, easier to access. And the one sentence that really popped out to me that I was like, I mean, it's good to know, but doesn't really have anything to do with the topic at hand, is this one sentence: Gutenberg died at the age of 68. Okay, so when I say to highlight it, I mean literally highlight it. So like highlight it with your thing, make it a letter, it's highlighted, the information is highlighted. Now I know which sentence in the text is not relevant. Okay, and then the last part here is explain why this information is irrelevant. Okay, so even though I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to tell me, so you're going to have to tell me in another way, right, which is to write it out. So explain why this information is irrelevant. So this is irrelevant because, right, because we're writing in complete sentences, because this paragraph is not necessarily about Gutenberg. It's period. Its focus, I can spell, guys, I swear. Its focus is on the books, not the inventor. All right, so when we're talking about relevant and irrelevant information, you have to remember an author will put irrelevant information in a text. Okay, but you have to be careful that the irrelevant information is not the information that is throwing you off when you are looking for answers to a question. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're going through this. You guys are going to practice this with two different paragraphs. Okay, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to identify the topic and subject. You're going to identify the author's message. It does not have to be the best written sentence, but I do want you to take a crack at what the author's message is. Okay, what is the author saying about the topic or subject? I want you to highlight the irrelevant information, just like I did right here. Okay, and then I want you to explain why this information is irrelevant. Okay, so I wrote 2 sentences. You can write 2, you can write 1, you can write 3, whatever makes you happy, as long as what you're thinking is being brought across in your sentences. Please make sure they are complete sentences. And if you have any questions, again, always please reach out to me or Miss Ebony. All right, y'all have a great day and enjoy.